Why did the farmer get a wiener dog? Because someone told him to get a long little doggy. This is Chris with Platinum Reviews, and I have the newest Platinum review for you for Final Fantasy II, the Pixel Remaster. If you have not seen it yet, I have a Platinum review for Final Fantasy I. What? Go and check it out. Let me know what you think. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like the video if you like the content. Without further ado, I give you the Platinum review for Final Fantasy II. An evil emperor. A nation stricken by war. This is the premise of Final Fantasy II. In Final Fantasy II, you follow Firion, I think that's how you pronounce it, Maria and Guy, on their quest to rid the Emperor and save the kingdom and restore peace. Final Fantasy II does a lot of new things with the story as well by introducing guest characters that join you in the game. Now, I say there's a lot of new things, but this was only the second Final Fantasy, so pretty much everything was new that wasn't in the first one. One thing I like, though, is Final Fantasy and Square, they do this thing where they are never afraid to break the mold and change what they did in previous games. Think about the jump from Final Fantasy X to 12, 12 to 13, 13 to 15. I mean, there's so many different changes, and every single time there is one, everybody's like, oh gosh, why change it? Everything's perfect. And then we end up loving the game. And Final Fantasy II was one of those games that it's just a huge difference from Final Fantasy I. But do we love it? Well, let's find out. I think the biggest change of them all has to be the leveling system. You're no longer leveling up. Level 1, level 2. No. Now you're just leveling up stats. So I can fight 5, 10 enemies and gain 2 strength. And then I fight 5, 10 more enemies and I gain 100 health. Their random stat increases. I don't know if they're random or if there's any sort of thing with them, but I'm going to say random. You gain these level ups in your stats. Not only that, you also gain weapon efficiency and spell efficiency, which we'll kind of discuss that in a little bit, but it's kind of a pain in the ass messing with that. The stronger you are with your weapon, the stronger you are with your spell, the more damage you do. But we'll kind of discuss that and how to get those trophies in a little bit. Another change? Well, they added keywords. Keywords in the sense of you having to learn and ask specific words that advance the story. If you are looking for the platinum, they are missable, so make sure to learn and ask every single one. Follow a guide, which we'll kind of discuss that in a little bit too, because the guides are very helpful, especially with these older games. Overall, the story is enjoyable, and it is a big change from Final Fantasy I. One story is just a simple, just not complex story, and two, yeah, it's still a simple story, but they add character depth and things progress in the story that make you kind of care for the characters more. I enjoyed the story for Final Fantasy II. As far as the gameplay, it's turn-based, just like all the older Final Fantasies. There's a lot of things that the game doesn't really tell you, though. So, like I said, there's weapon proficiency and spell proficiency. Every character can be equipped with any spell. There are no limitations to that, so you can have cure on every single character. I suggest only having white mage spells on one person, solely make them white mage so that they can level up the stuff for that. But yeah, you can equip anything to anyone, all the weapons to everyone. You can also equip double weapons and make it to where your character attacks twice, which is very helpful. But the game doesn't really tell you a lot, but it's fun. It's enjoyable. I love playing Final Fantasy, and this one's no different. Now, one of my biggest gripes with Final Fantasy I was the backtracking, and while there is a decent amount of backtracking in Final Fantasy II, it's all backtracking that makes sense. Final Fantasy I was just like, oh, you got this orb, now go back to this place you just were, and it was just kind of annoying. But here it's like you're going back to the kingdom to see what the next course of action is. The backtracking makes sense, so it's not overly annoying or anything like that, so I'm not going to really knock it. Now, like I said, with this being the second game, there's a lot of firsts because, anything that didn't happen in the first game is technically a first. But we get a lot of series staples here, things that are known for Final Fantasy. This is the first time we see a chocobo. I can't remember in the first one, so don't quote me on that. But I want to say it's the first time we see a chocobo. It's the first time that Sid is introduced. It's the first time that we get named characters, because in the first game and the third game, you actually name your characters. Which, funny thing about that, in the first game, I named somebody Hilda, and I posted on Twitter. I was like, don't make me name characters, because I'll name people Hilda. I boot up Final Fantasy II, and one of the first people you get introduced to is Hilda. So apparently I'm really good at naming characters in Final Fantasy games, but that's besides the point. Now, it wouldn't be a Final Fantasy review without talking about the music. Final Fantasy music is so great, and I know I touched base on this in the first game. I'm going to touch base on it on every Final Fantasy review, just because music and Final Fantasy just go hand in hand. And Final Fantasy II's music is no different. I believe this is the first time we got the Chocobo theme, or iteration of the Chocobo theme, and it sounded so great. Just such an awesome time hearing these beautiful gems all over again in the comfort of my home. Final Fantasy II is an enjoyable game. Do I think it's better than Final Fantasy I? Nah, not at all. But it's definitely not the worst Final Fantasy either. That goes to probably 13. Ugh. Don't hate me. But Final Fantasy II is an enjoyable time, and while it does have its issues, and I feel like a lot of those issues are kind of outdated stuff that, just happened back then. NPCs getting in your way to where you can't go through doors until they move, and you're just sitting there waiting, and they're just looking at you like, what's up, bro? Just, things that were normal back then, but, now it's like, come on, do better. Just things that I feel like could have been better with the story. I felt like parts of it fell flat. There were a few deaths that just were kind of goofy, and I guess I was supposed to feel some emotion from it, but I didn't really. So there's just a little bit of things that were kind of off with Final Fantasy II, and that's why I would give Final Fantasy II an 8 out of 10. Now, as far as the Platinum is concerned, we'll go over the trophies in a second, but I would give Final Fantasy II's Platinum a 3 out of 10. There are 4 mystical trophies in the game. I believe visiting every area is one, getting all the keywords, which I kind of discussed earlier, getting all the chests, and unlocking the bestiary. We'll kind of discuss a few things in a second with some of these harder trophies, but my suggestion is to follow a guide. There's a really good guide on Steam. Somebody did a really good guide. I followed that. I didn't miss anything. Everything was really well written, so I definitely suggest following that. You can play it blind, but you are probably going to miss a few things and unfortunately have to play the game a second time. Now, there's 2 trophies I want to discuss really quick. The first one is weapon proficiency, getting to level 16. Easiest way to do this is equip the blood sword to your white mage. I did this post-game. I reloaded my save file after beating the boss. I turned on boost mode to ×4 because if you don't, it's going to take a long time. And I went to a very easy enemy. I think it was like goblins and stuff like that. What you're going to do is kill all your other people in your party and only attack yourself. Attack yourself with the blood sword. If you go to the very beginning of the video, you will see me doing this for the platinum, kind of as a visual guide, but it's very easy once you do that. It'll take probably about 10 to 20 minutes once you do that. If you do it without the boost, it's going to take a while. Towards the end of the game, I wasn't gaining any weapon proficiency. It was kind of a pain, so easiest way is probably right there. And lastly, the bestiary. Now, there are a lot of missable enemies that you can face, but the biggest pain is the Iron Giant. It's a very rare enemy. When you're towards the end, I think the area is called Pandanomia. You're going to go to the area that I have on screen right now, run back and forth, and you're going to keep escaping from battle. And eventually in this area, you will see him. It took me a long time, and then I finally started fleeing from battle in this specific area, and that's how I got the fight. So if you guys have any questions about the game, let me know in the comments down below. Any questions about any of the trophies, I'll try and help you out the best I can. Like I said, follow a guide. It'll make things a lot easier. This is Chris with Platinum Reviews, and this is a Platinum Review for Final Fantasy II. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep getting those trophies. I'll catch you on the next video.